water.
Are you going to put the order in?
Good afternoon. Today is November 13th, 2024, and it is 3:07 p.m. As a quorum of the committee is in attendance, I would like to call to order the meeting of the Central Health Ad Hoc Appointments Committee. As a reminder, some of our committee members who may be also participating by video conferences, the staff will be managing video and audio fields of all participants closely to make sure we have a legally compliant meeting at all times. While we will now be holding a Public Communications Appointments Committee, Budget and Finance Committee, any member of the public who wishes to instead comment at a later meeting can do so at that time. Also, committee members will be going slightly out of order to today's agenda. We'll be taking up item 3 before item 2. Does anyone register to make comments for the Board of Managers Appointments Committee meeting?
Hi, we do have our DEI team here who is ready to provide some information.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll introduce Olivia Oakes. We'll get the team started.
Okay, thank you. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Oakes, and I'm the Senior Education Coordinator at Community Care. I'm happy to be here to represent the DEI Council as we highlight the Native American Heritage Month for this year. This is our first official time highlighting this recognition, and thus our council decided to launch an educational initiatives page for all employees to celebrate the rich history, culture, and contributions of Native Americans in the United States. Specifically, our committee spotlighted Native American values, social determinants of health for Native Americans, including critical research and results, a TEDx talk about gaps in Indigenous health, how to foster a more culturally sensitive work environment for Native Americans, common biases associated with the Native American community, internal and external learning opportunities, and of course, community events and celebrations across Central Texas. Overall, this month is an opportunity for people to learn about the experiences of Native Americans, their resilience, and their ongoing struggles for recognition, equality, and sovereignty. And finally, it serves as a reminder of the importance of acknowledging and respecting Indigenous peoples' rights, land, and heritage. We'd like to thank our planning committee, Adriana, Francisco, Esme, Craig, Emily, Andrea, Janie, Jackie, Christian, Jaleesa, and myself. As always, we look forward to sharing more initiatives with you in 2025. We also welcome your input or advice if there's anything within your communities or sphere of influences you would like to help us champion. Excuse me. This is our last highlight for 2024, and we look forward to driving this work in the future.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have questions or comments? No? Manager Valdez.
The only thing I would like to say is that to all the naysayers, they don't believe that Native American or the first tribes are the original Americans. They are the original Americans. I think it's tragic that in our own country, we
lost a little bit of the microphone sound.
I want to thank you for bringing this up. In our own country, the first tribes were not made citizens, I believe, until like 1948. And I just think that's a tragic error. And it goes to the ignorance of those in the educational field to understand history and truth. And I really appreciate you bringing this forward and making it a part of Central Health and our enterprise from now on. Thank you.
Nothing further needs to be said. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Manager Jones.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Manager Valadez says. I also like to acknowledge that in my family, there's a rich history. that goes back, that engage both the African American and the Native American history there in Alabama. And so I want to acknowledge the interplay, but also the importance that Native Americans have played in they are the founders of this nation, and we need to emphasize that. We don't do enough of that. And so I want to thank you for taking the time to do that, not only for the community, but also for the heritage that that goes for my family as well. Thanks very much.
And Dr. Martin, I said nothing further needs to be said, but I was speaking for me,
Okay.
meaning after what Manager Valadez had said, there's nothing more that I needed to say, and certainly not pertaining to Shannon or on the matter, especially after our genocidal history with First Nations. So there's always much more to be said.
Thank y'all very much. Any further comments? Okay, well, thank you. We'll now proceed to the committee agenda. Our first agenda item is to approve the minutes of the Ad Hoc Committee Appointments Committee meeting from September 23rd, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please? Cynthia Brinson moves the motion.
I move that we approve the minutes of the Ad Hoc Appointments Committee, September 23rd, 2024.
Thank you. Manager Jones, seconds. Thank you. Okay. We're moving now to agenda item, oh, sorry, vote, yes. Yes. Good. Nays, thank you. The motion moves. Thank you. At this time, I announce that the committee is convening in closed session. Item number 3, before we move ahead. Okay, the next item 3 is discuss and take appropriate action on the appointment of one member to the governing board of Sendero Health Plans. Do we have our candidate online? Oh, he's outside. Okay. Well, can we have him come in? We go to close for, I thought we we're going to item, we're doing. Okay. Oh, I saw it. Okay, sorry. Okay. Very good. I'm sorry, I'm going to submit a line. And I'd like to announce now that we're going into closed session, discuss agenda item 3 under Texas Government Code 551.074 concerning personal matters. It is now 3:14 and still November 14th, right? 13th. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. At this time, we're back in open session. I would like to ask for a motion. I'm sorry, date and time again. November 13th, it is 4:04 p.m., and we're out of closed session. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion. Manager Montmani?
I move that the committee recommend the board approve the appointment of Dr. Norman Chenvin to the governing board of Sendero Health Plans.
Second,
Second, my manager Valadez.
two Cynthias.
No, exactly. Have to be careful. All who approve?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? The motion is approved. Thank you. We're going to rapidly move on to our next appointment. Item agenda 2, and that is to discuss and take appropriate action on the reappointment of Mr. Hal Katz to the Integral Care Board of Directors.
Good day, everybody.
There you are. Okay. Welcome. I'd like to start by offering you the chance to ask, have an opening statement if you'd like to. If not, we'll just proceed to questions.
It's been a pleasure to be your representative on the Integral Care Board, and should you so desire, it would be my pleasure and privilege to continue to serve. I'll answer any questions you guys may have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone? Manager Jones?
How long have you served, Hal, on the board?
It's been a while. I think it's probably been around 13 years.
In that time, you've seen a lot of changes in terms of the community and services, and of course, Central Health itself, in terms of support of integral care. Are there anything that stands out to you particularly that you would like to see in terms of the focus more on that you all have not been doing as much? And as a representative from us, you carrying that forth to the board.
Thank you for that question. I'm really excited about Jeff and having him in the role of CEO. I know you appreciate, it's a big change after David was CEO for so many years, and I think he brings a fresh set of eyes to our organization, and I think he's identified the areas that we need to work on, our infrastructure, trying to simplify and maybe have more flexible funding sources. Those are probably our two biggest areas that we need to work on. I feel really good right now that he's doing the work necessary to confirm what we should be focusing on going forward. We're going to be here soon meeting to come up with our strategic plan and have him be a part of that process, of course, of confirming what we need to be focusing on over the next 2 to 5 years, both on the front end of that strategic plan and the back end of a strategic plan. So I think we're at a good place right now, Dr. Jones.
And my last question is, in terms of alignment between the role integral care and Central Health, do you see that? Do you view that we're in line in terms of our philosophy, our strategies, our operations, or are there things that you think we could do better that we're not doing?
Great question. I think our hearts are in the right place and our intentions are in the right place. Operationally, there are likely opportunities. I don't think we've quite had an opportunity in the last, I guess, maybe since Central Health has decided to pivot a little bit more into more of the provider role, to really look at those opportunities. I know Jeff is very much open to that idea, and the board is very much open to that idea. We want to be aligned. We want to be complementary. We want to be whole person health and not just us being mental health and and you being a little bit of, you know, everything, but probably a little bit more on the physical health side. And we know for anybody to have good quality of life, they need to have whole body health. So we have to be coordinated. We have to be very aligned and as integrated as possible in those efforts.
And structure, and last question, structurally, organizationally, administratively, are you comfortable with the alignment and arrangement that currently exists?
Structurally, yes. Structurally, yes. I know you appreciate we're a community mental health center, so we're a little bit dependent upon what the statute says in creating our structure, our management team. I feel good about. I know Jeff is looking to make some changes. We've got some vacancies to fill, but we've got a new CFO that I'm fairly optimistic about. At this point, he's just, you know, maybe a month or so into that job. Infrastructure-wise, structurally, our relationship between Central Health and Integral Care, I think that there are definitely some opportunities. The way we've worked together has been substantially the same for, you know, at least 20 or so years with the structure of the contracts and the structure of the funding. I think there may be some opportunities to make that easier for both sides to maintain and to get more, frankly, bang for the buck. How do we maximize your dollars with in getting more care in supporting the mental health, behavioral health infrastructure in our community, where we're not spending so much time, you know, almost more time or more expense just administering each of those many different funding arrangements administratively than we are in the clinical care and the people interaction that we all know should be our focus.
Thank you, Manager Jones. Manager Mahoney.
Thank you for thank you for your service, Hal. And in the interest of time, we could just make these thumbs up and thumbs down questions, or this just really one thumbs up, thumbs down question. I guess in the last 14 months or 16 months, I should say, do you feel you mentioned, you know, the new CFO and being fairly optimistic. Do you feel pretty strongly that the trajectory and sort of improvements around financial modeling and forecasting through the lens of sustainability, do you feel pretty strongly that those structures are improving or have improved? Thanks.
Thank you.
No questions, but I just want to thank you for your service. Hal, really appreciate you for sticking that long and for the expertise that you bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. You're very kind.
I don't have any questions except to say thank you, Hal. Appreciate your service.
No questions, and again, thank you.
I just have one, Hal. You've been around for a good amount of time. So are there other organizations within the enterprise that you have worked with or participated with? The enterprise, the Central Health Enterprise.
Yes, and included in that would be community care, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I used to be on the board of
That's what I
community
thought.
care. Yes, for about the same time, I was chair of that for my last 9 or so years. And when I came off of the community care board, I asked Central Health, you know, I told them that I was ready to come off unless they needed me to stay on. But if there was another place they would want me to serve, I would be open to that. And that's how I got to Integral Care. But yeah, I was very involved in community care. You know, I was on the board that hired Trish Young, and you know, we went through the process of Central Health being created and
Right.
that whole transition. So that I've had experience on that side.
Oh, and she was a Seton
That's right.
employee. She was a Seton executive. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No questions, just thanks, Hal.
Thank you, sir.
Hal, I have one question that was sort of asked already by Manager Jones, and that is sort of, what do you see the greatest challenge for Integral Care moving forward during your next term?
I think it's more funding, trying to either be able to use our current funding sources to provide more care in some way by having efficiencies in either how those dollars are structured coming in, or by obtaining additional funding, governmental funding, but also are there opportunities to contract with commercial payers for commercial patients and not just Medicaid, CHIP, Medicare funded patients or indigent and charity patients, but what new dollars might we be able to bring in that complement the services that we already provide that are needed in the community. So funding sources and infrastructure are the big issues in my mind. I mean, we have a huge issue with unhoused and in coordination of services with other stakeholders in the community. And I'm not saying that I'm not diminishing the importance of those issues, but I really think those two, once we address those two issues, I think we're going to be able to do much more in those two other areas, the unhoused and coordination with other organizations.
Thank you. You mentioned sort of efficiencies in the delivery of care. Do you think there's any, or are there abundant opportunities to work more integrally with Central Health to provide more efficient care for our shared populations?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Lisa,
Oh, I'm sorry. Manager May, do you have a question? I didn't see you there. We can't hear you. You're muted.
No hearing.
Technology.
still
challenge.
muted.
I know. Can y'all hear me?
We can
Now,
hear you.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing me. More than anything, I want to thank you for your long service because obviously 13 years is a long time to serve. And more importantly, I also want to thank you for your willingness to continue to serve. As you all have this new CEO, there are other opportunities and challenges, as you've already articulated, that I think are important. But because of the tenure that you have already with Integral Care, I think that that will enable you to move the organization forward in a much faster and speedier way. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Mr. Katz, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Shall I leave you guys now? You guys have a nice afternoon.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments, opinions,
Let's vote.
or just vote? Any questions?
I was going to make a motion, sorry.
Yeah, let's just
Okay,
vote.
let's make a motion then. I think
Oh, do we have
accept.
to go out of session?
We're in
We're in
open.
open.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion then.
I move the committee recommend the board approve the reappointment of Mr. Hal Katz to the Integral Care Board of Directors.
Thank you.
Second.
A second?
Cynthia Brinson.
Cynthia Brinson this time. All who approve?
Well, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go
Some
ahead.
discussion, I mean. I guess, and it goes more to the CEO. I guess my question is, and I preface my conversation with Hal in terms of his length of service here and his modus operandi in terms of operations. We have another organization within our enterprise called Community Care. in which we've had a long-standing operation. And so my concern is whether or not we have set in motion expectations of the role of those CEOs within an organization that has its CEO, and whether or not I'm supportive of of Hal. I've known him for a while, and I think he's a good asset. But my question is whether or not we are setting ourselves up by repeatedly hiring folks without them understanding our expectation of the role of those CEOs of those enterprise organizations with regards to our CEO.
And that's a good point.
That is.
Manager Manwani had his hand up first.
Certainly think that needs to be unpacked, and as we go, and we need to be more in lockstep, of course, with appointees. And I also want to just maybe point out the nuance, and I may be incorrect, of Integral Care not necessarily being an enterprise agency, and so. But I understand the symmetry, or the congruence, I should say, but not necessarily the exact.
Overseeing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Manager.
Shannon, I appreciate that you raising that. Integral Care is a separate entity under state law. You probably know that. So it's not comparable at all to the CUC relationship, and it's not part of the enterprise. It's a important partner for us in a collaborative way, but there is no law out there at all about any kind of enterprise relationship with it's a CCBHC, a Certified Community Behavioral Health Center.
And I get that. I guess my question is not so much the lines of control as much as it is the mindset of what we're sent. I don't think it's fair for the CEO to have to minutia or work around, even with these type of organizations, to get them to be supportive of some of the kinds of that type of relationship we have, because we do provide funding.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just say this. From Integral Care's perspective, and you may want to speak to this too, I'm not aware of any interest in Jeff Richardson's part or the board of Integral Care to do anything other than collaborate. It's a very collaborative body. Is there anything you want to add there?
No, I've been on the board for 10 years. Hal's been on it for 13 years. Our first interest is our patients and our staff. We want to make sure the staff is well taken care of and our patients are as well.
Okay, well, perhaps it's me, just in this heightened environment in which we're living today, is I wanted to make sure that 5 years from now, we don't find ourselves in the same situation, maybe not for financial reason, but for other kinds of arrangements we've made with these organizations where we're butting heads.
Oh, well, maybe that's a good conversation to have. I think as we grow, and Dr. Lee, I know you go ahead.
No, I think what Shannon is saying is correct. I see this. We do fund them partially, and how do we assure a sort of a steady back and forth conversation occurring about what our mutual goals are, as opposed to not being that way? Because if we're going to fund them, we're not the bully at the table, but to sort of at least have a seat at the table.
Well, you have two board members that are board members
right.
that sit on it, just like we do for Sendero, although Sendero is an enterprise.
Right.
Integral Care is not.
Okay.
And we can also certainly set up mechanisms for communication with them. I know our staff is. They reported back to us. I can't remember when that was, Dr. Lee, but we had a conversation with, I don't even remember who I was here, but your staff has been working closely with Jeff Richardson's staff, and that was reported to us. It's communication.
Okay.
We just keep up communication. We can also, if this board feels like they'd like to have more communication, I'm sure we could set that up.
Okay. Thank you. Manager Mamani.
Chair
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, just kind of a variation on that theme, and maybe a suggestion. I totally agree that we're at a very collaborative place, and I think that we're all sort of snapped to get grid together. given our shared investment in contracting and our shared missions. And that being said, that's where we are now. And so with respect to, I think, the mechanisms that are discussed, and I don't know, this is just a suggestion that maybe this body or this committee, despite the ad hoc name, might have in its purview a little bit more of an engagement role with existing appointees, and again, that would be at the pleasure of the chair, and how that may work itself out, because it's just new homework for new people. But it's just a suggestion that this committee actually perhaps have a more robust role than it does now. That includes ongoing engagement and mission alignment.
Well, we've been trying to make a point to, for example, with Sendero, to get feedback from the board as to what the board wants, and that it's aligned with our mission. And so we've been trying to do that, but I think that's a good suggestion. Thank you. Anyone else, manager?
I tend to agree with Shannon's comments, but for a different reason. I'm always one of those people that doesn't believe in groupthink. I do not believe in groupthink. I like the fact that we have diverse opinions, because as we come together to develop a strategy that is going to take into consideration all sides, not just one side. If you only have board members that express one side, one perspective, one lens, then I think you take away opportunities to look at addressing needs that could have been expressed by someone that had a little bit different lens, a different perspective. So I just want us to make sure that as we develop these working relationships with our board members, with our enterprise members, and with those that are fundamental, as far as I'm concerned, Angel Care is a fundamental partner for us. And we really need to be aligned and strategic in the development of initiatives and programs and practices to accommodate the needs of our diverse populations. But I just want us to make sure that and understand that diversity is also good, and I think it's necessary. So that's the only reason I bring that up. Thank you, Shannon, for having considered and stated that.
Thank you. Pat?
Sure. Manager Jones, thank you for the question, and I agree with all the sentiments here. Integral Care is a vital partner. We serve the same mission, and I think Jeff Richards and I are in very close contact, often as are our teams, doing a lot of shared thinking, a lot of shared planning. And part of what we talked about is that there is a risk of two agencies sub-optimizing if we aren't actively collaborating. And in this case, to Chair Kitchen's point, we are entirely separate agencies, but we share patients and a great deal of work together. So what we're seeking to do is actually come to a shared mindset around what does the care continuum of physical and behavioral health look like. Ideally, there are different ways to do it, within the bounds of the best practice. What makes sense here? And can we come to a common understanding of that so that we are optimizing together toward the same North Star, with patients at the center, to my colleague Pete Samore's point. So that's really where we're heading, and rounding that out with a lot of trust and relationships and time together. So that's my hope, that we can find full alignment that way. Hope that addresses the question.
Manager, thank you, Pat.
And just don't build on that, on Dr. Lee. I'm remembering more now the conversation we had with the board. Under state law, a CCBHC, well, that's not the state law, but anyway, under state law, Integral Care, and also as a CCBHC, they have a population that they are charged with responsibility for, just like we do. And their population is the seriously mentally ill. So they've got a segment of the population that they're responsible for. Legally, they get state funding for, and other federal funding and other things like that. And so there's an opportunity there, as you said, Dr. Lee, to look at which is the best entity to do which? Because there's a lot of mental health, behavioral health services that are not SMI, for example, that are more integrated between physical and behavioral health and may happen in a primary care office or something like that. So it's a matter of working out that continuum of care of where does it make sense for maybe the higher level acuity, maybe the higher level of expertise, that kind of thing, be Integral Care's focus, and where does it make sense for Central Health and our partners to step in. So I know you guys are working that, and we had some conversation about that in front of the board, and I probably just butchered it in the way that I
No, I think you said it very well.
Explained
Said
it,
very
but
well.
there'll be more conversations like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey.
And I understand everything you're saying, and I'm familiar with it.
Well, you know that stuff.
I'm just saying is that when the arrangements we had set up, when this institution became into existence, Central Health, and the city had the clinics, there was a lot of understanding, to use your words exactly, is that over time we'll be able to make these things work, come together. And all I'm saying is here, I want to make sure now as we go forth that the same kind of mindset that we as a board member are having in terms of collaboration, working together, will be the same as we look down the road. Because now's the time to start talking about, we're appointing board members who are going to be carrying that philosophy. And we want to make sure they understand that. And so all I'm saying is make sure that we're all on the same page there. Because 20 years ago, well, I don't say 20 years, 10 years ago, what we see today with Central Health and our operation is not what we saw a while back. And so I'm just trying to avoid that by putting some proactive measures in place.
Thank you. Not to belabor the point, but I think that what you said, Manager Kitchen, is that I think it'd be great if we, in terms of helping Integral Care and helping ourselves, most mental illness can be handled in a primary care setting. And I think that to have Integral Care and a sort of an escape chute for the more difficult, highly specialized care would benefit all of us. And I think that if we can work together with a board that sort of envisions that, to Manager Jones' point, I think that'd be immensely beneficial. And that said, I'd like to now, we had a motion, now we need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And any nays?
Aye.
Okay, any abstentions? No? So the motion passes? Good, thank you. Agenda item 3, confirm the next regular ad hoc appointments committee meeting, date, time, and location. Managers, we do not currently have a scheduled Central Health ad hoc appointments committee meeting. When a need for a meeting arises, we will work with committee members and other managers to choose a date and time that works with everyone's schedule. At this time, I'm ready to accept the motion for adjournment. Second, from Manager Madwani. We are adjourned. Thank you.
So are we ready? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is November 13th, 2024, and it is 4:31 p.m. As a quorum of the committee is in attendance, I would like to call to order the meeting of the Central Health Budget and Finance Committee. As a reminder, some of our committee members may be also participating via video conference, so the staff will be managing video and audio feeds of all participants closely to make sure we have a legally compliant meeting at all times. Do we have anyone who would like to make any public comments at this time? I see none. So before we proceed with the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, members, I just wanted to bring to your attention an email that was forwarded to you about the measures that Dr. Jewel Mullen presented to us on October 23rd. So just to let you know, I wanted to provide you with some context to that email. So the email really encompass primarily the proposed measures for the 2 priority objectives, optimizing healthcare in communities most impacted by health inequities, and 2, collaborate with communities to improve health and healthcare equity. And so these are just part of the measures. They're not the full measures for all the for all the objectives. And also that me and Dr. Brinson are going to be visiting with the dean to reiterate our commitment to addressing our priorities as a board in health equity. So we're still in the process of scheduling that meeting. Just wanted to bring that to your attention that we're following up, and hopefully there will be more presentations to follow. Now I will proceed with the agenda. Agenda item number 1, approve the minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 Budget and Finance Committee meeting. I move that the committee approve the minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Do I have a second? Manager Valadez seconds. Any discussion? I see none. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you, Manager May. Now, moving on to agenda item 2, just also to make sure because of the next following meeting, the Board of Managers meeting, so we intentionally have made this meeting more condensed. So I know that there will probably be additional questions that you may have. Please follow up with Brianna if there is any questions that needs to be addressed. We will get back to these items at a later meeting. Just wanted to share that. Now, moving on to agenda number 2, receive and discuss the presentation of Sendera Health Plans, Inc. operational update for calendar year 2024. Members, there's no presentation for this item. The materials are in the committee packet, and as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please send those to Brianna, and she will forward those questions to the appropriate person. And if there's any additional, if we needed an additional meeting to this item, we will bring it forth at a future meeting. Now, moving on to agenda item number 3, receive and discuss a presentation of Sendera Health Plans draft budget for calendar year 2025. Ms. Alves and Brianna, sorry, I always butcher your name, will be presenting. And we are going to go into closed session, I believe. Is there anything, Sharon, that you're going to be presenting in public for this item? Okay, just wanted. So members, I am going to announce that the committee is convening in closed session to discuss agenda item 3 under Texas Government Code 551.